Welcome back to Jurassic Park Minute. Jurassic Park Minute is the fan podcast that chronicles and overanalyzes the classic 1993 film Jurassic Park minute by minute. I'm Kyle.
I'm Brady.
And we're here to bring you minute number 11 of Jurassic Park. Brady, how are you doing today?
Doing good. How about you?
I'm doing pretty fantastic, man. Just really digging watching Jurassic Park minute by minute.
I know. Always love the movie and always love watching it and analyzing it. And there's all kinds of little goodies in the background and stuff. And this is, just a great way to catch all that stuff is doing it minute by minute.
Yeah. I mean, I like all this stuff. I think there's some really funny character interactions here, some very colorful characters in this movie, but I'm ready to see some dinosaurs.
Yeah, I know.
But the thing is, I don't think we're going to see them for about a month.
Yeah, right? Well, this minute is kind of in the middle of a scene where there's a couple of adults talking in a room.
Yeah.
There's just, they don't really go
It's
anywhere.
still set up for everything.
Yeah. So I really don't have a whole lot going on note-wise in this minute, but one of the things that we're, getting to talk about here is Hammond and his company. And the fact that there needs to be this public endorsement for his company in this new project. Well,
yeah.
The company is called InGen, and that stands for International Genetics Incorporated. And InGen was his company that, according to Jurassic Park canon, he started back in the 80s with the sole purpose to be a leader in like genetic and biological science and technology. And he eventually facilitated all this in this project to build a biological preserve, as he calls it, that was done, as a sort of like resort facility, but also going to be a sort of type of zoo. And he was able to bring in all these investors with all the accomplishments that he had done through all the findings and discoveries that they had made. And without giving him too many details, he was able to get a bunch of stuff going to build this thing called Jurassic Park. Well, to get a bunch of information on InGen and everything that kind of comes from that, you can check out the Jurassic Park wiki page, and there's all kinds of cool stuff on there and how it went from Hammond to, in the Lost World, his nephew, and then eventually in Jurassic World to the Maserati Corporation. So a lot of fun stuff with that, but not going to get into it too much here on the podcast. But if you're a fan,
so the two companies in Jurassic Park are InGen, which is John Hammond's company, and then Biosyn, which is the company that Dodson works for. Correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, and I remember I was having trouble whenever I read this book and then saw the movie telling the two apart because they're both bad. And in the movie, one of them's not so bad. InGen is just kind of careless. Biosyn is an actual evil corporation like Weyland-Yutani or something.
Yeah.
But I could never separate the two in my mind when I was reading the book because I had to have one good guy and one bad guy.
That's
and
right.
Reading the book, I couldn't come to the terms with the fact that they were both really bad corporations. So, all right, well, you ready to get on into minute number 11?
Yeah, let's do it.
Fantastic. In the previous minute, we saw John Hammond make his dramatic entrance by helicopter and nearly destroy Ellie and Alan's dig site. Alan Grant attempted to confront him, but was persuaded by Hammond's charm to drop the issue. At 11:03, Ellie Sattler busts into the main operations trailer and says, "Who's the jerk?" At 11:05, Grant introduces Ellie to Hammond as the paleobotanist Dr. Sattler. At 11:10, Grant makes a point to name Mr. Hammond before Ellie says anything else. At 11:13, Hammond apologizes for making such a dramatic entrance at the dig site and shakes Ellie's hand. Ellie has a frozen look on her face. At 11:15, Ellie says, "Did I say jerk?" At 11:18, Hammond asks Ellie and Grant to have a drink with him and moves to the back of the trailer to find glasses for the champagne. At 11:30, Hammond has Ellie and Grant sit down and tells them that he is going to get straight to the point. He tells them that he likes them both. He says that he can tell instantly about people, and it's a gift of his. At 11:45, Hammond tells Ellie and Grant that he has an island off the coast of Costa Rica and that it's spectacular. He says he has spared no expense and that the park will make the one he has in Kenya look like a petting zoo. At 11:55, Hammond tells Ellie and Grant that he has no doubt that the attractions they have will drive kids out of their minds. And thus ends minute 11 of Jurassic Park.
Okay, so there's something kind of interesting there. First off, I don't really have a whole lot going on in this minute because just basically everything that we covered in the last minute is everything that encompasses this whole scene. But just in terms of like InGen, the company that he's using, he does mention that they built something in Kenya and that Jurassic Park is going to make it look like a petting zoo.
Right.
I'm assuming that was just sort of like a zoo, basically?
Well, he says I think he uses the term reserve, or like an animal preserve.
Yeah.
So probably what happens is they've got a lot of land in Kenya that is fenced off, and they have lions and
zebras,
stuff like that in there. That's probably like hundreds of square miles. They have game wardens like Muldoon.
That's
who's
right.
probably the game warden in Kenya, come in there and make sure that these animals are not hunted by poachers, that they are, it's kind of like a zoo, but not. You could probably take tours there, maybe in like Jeeps or something like that, and go on like a photo safari or something. But nobody's there hunting these animals. They're probably, tranquilized and pulled off to have their teeth checked and stuff like that regularly by vets. That's what a animal preserve is.
He and I think this is one of the things that he was putting together throughout the process of pulling in investors and saying, check this out. See how I can do this? Well, you're really going to dig this other thing I'm doing. And the book Jurassic Park like really goes into stuff like that and gives it a big history. Now, are you familiar with Jurassic Park Trespasser, the game?
Yes, I bought Jurassic Park Trespasser and ran it on a computer that was too slow to play it, and I had to play it looking at the ground the whole time so that it wouldn't render the outside world. Yeah, it's not a good game.
That's what I remember hearing is that computers just could not handle the everything that was required for a computer to run this game.
It was one of the first games to have like a physics engine in it, meaning that objects in the world had weight. So if there was like a block on the ground, a cinder block that you had to pick up and put on something else, it would actually take your character time to pull it up, and that your character was only so strong, this thing weighed so much, and if you dropped it in certain areas, the environment would have different sort of effects around it.
Yeah, and there's actually something in that game where they got Richard Attenborough to come in and do a voiceover talking about like his past in character as John Hammond.
Really?
And you can go, I don't know what the purpose was, but it's like a really, dramatic reading and everything. Well, you can find that entire thing on YouTube. And I found it, and I was like, as someone who's just, a big fan of Jurassic Park and really wants to get their hands on just like, everything, including extended universe stuff and other stuff that might be affiliated with the movies or the sequels, this was just kind of like a really strange find, but cool because it had, Richard Attenborough actually in it. Yeah. So, again, I don't really have a whole lot of notes for this minute, and I'm sure some of these topics we'll come back to later on in the show. But it's just more mystery building, mystery building. Who is this
character
guy?
introduction? Yeah.
Who is he? And
he instantly comes in and says, "I like you guys," and you feel like he's buttering him up. Like he's this whimsical little dude, and he's like this little magical sprite that sits on the counter and pours champagne. Where's my lucky charms?
Like him.
I know, I do. So I have just one little funny thing.
Sure.
I was playing, as you know, I play the video game World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
And there's a new expansion that just came out for it. And in the game, I ran into some really cool Jurassic Park Easter eggs. Mm-hmm. So there is a group of elves in the game called the Nightborn. And just to give you an idea of who these guys are, they have a city that has been walled off to the outside world for 10,000 years. And they are now they're not letting people back in, but you're sneaking in. They've been oppressing a group of dark elves that live there, night elves, and are kind of subjugating them. Well, because they're this like elite class that has sealed themselves off from the world, they think they're better than everybody else. They have a zoo in the middle of this giant city. Mm-hmm. You have to put a mask on, you look like one of them, you go into the city. You get in there, and there's what's called a druid, who is a class of characters in the game that kind of wants to save all the life in the planet. They look out for the animals and stuff like that. One of them comes in and says, "Hey, there's a zoo here. We got to free some of these animals." So you free some of the animals, and then at the very end, they're like, "Meet me in this cave. They have a devil sore here." So you go into the cave, and there's a Tyrannosaurus in there. And they're like, "Help me get this thing out of here. You're going to have to jump on its back, and it's going to get you out of here." So there's one guard in there, and you run in there, and he looks at you, and the only thing he says is, "Spared no expense," like that. So then you jump on the Tyrannosaurus, the Devilsaurus back, and you bust out, and it's stomping and like killing people and stuff, and eating them, right? And the whole time, all the guards that run up to you are saying things like, "Shoot her! Spared no expense! Spared no expense! Shoot her!" So you're stomping these guys. So I thought it was a real funny... Because, awesome. I mean, John Hammond is just constantly dropping. That's his catchphrase. Yeah. Spared no expense. So, anyway, I thought that was kind of funny. Other than that, I got nothing to say about this minute.
Me neither.
Other than, how many times have you been in a situation like Ellie where you're saying something like, "Who's the jerk?" And then the person you're talking about is standing right there. Oh, my God.
Story of my life. Yeah. Jesus.
So. All right. Well, you ready to get out of here?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, great. Well, folks, join us back again tomorrow on Wednesday for minute number 12 of Jurassic Park. I'm Kyle.
I'm Brady.
And until next time, hold on to your butts.
Jurassic Park Minute is a fan-supported podcast. If you like the podcast, then leave us a review on iTunes. You can contact us at JurassicParkMinute@gmail.com and visit us online at JurassicParkMinute.com, Facebook.com/JurassicParkMinute, and Twitter.com/JurassicMinute.